Good morning, everyone, and thank you. Thank you to the Nanaimo Chamber, the Parksville Chamber, and the Qualicum Beach Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring today's event. I have the easy job. It's the welcome, and I also get to present Minister Stillwell, who is by far the best representative we've had in Qualicum Beach, Parksville riding in Nanaimo here ever. Minister Stillwell.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to see such a great crowd out this morning, to get up so early. Though as business owners and people in our community, we're used to getting up this early, right? Because we're hardworking, we're committed to our community, and I want to thank all three chambers that are here today for your dedication and your commitment to our community each and every day. We know that small business is what makes our community thrive, so thank you, and give yourselves all a round of applause for what you do every day. I'd like to recognize the people at our head table this morning: our chair of the RDN, Joe Stanhope, the mayor of Qualicum Beach, Tunis Westbrook, the mayor of Nanaimo, Bill McKay, and the mayor of Parksville, Mark Lefebvre. Welcome. We have such an amazing community, and it was my absolute pleasure to be able to bring all my colleagues here for the past couple days to see exactly what Parksville Qualicum is all about, to show our beautiful community, to let them see what we're all about, because really, we are the heart and soul of British Columbia. So if I could just have the MLAs and ministers that are here today, I won't introduce you all by name. If you could just stand up and Stephanie give a wave, that would be great. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for allowing me to share my community with all of you, so that when I natter at you in Victoria, you know what I'm really talking about. So with that, I would like to now introduce a woman that inspires me every single day to do my absolute very best, the woman who is dedicated to our province, who works with complete passion and such drive to ensure that the future for all British Columbia is a bright one. I'd like to introduce my friend, our Premier, Christy Clark.
Thank you very, very much. It's so nice to be with you today. Somebody asked me how we were doing, and I said, when you're in Parksville, you're happy. Because there is, unless you live in the Okanagan, you are either living in Parksville or trying to figure out how you can become a resident of Parksville. That's kind of how the province breaks down. It's such a beautiful spot, and thank you, Michelle, and to all of you in the Mid-Island who have hosted us so warmly in the last few days. It's been just a fantastic visit for all of our caucus, for sure. You know, as I said, I like it when people are happy, because, you know, the thing about happy people is, happy people don't vote NDP. I don't know. I have a feeling some of the folks that were joining us outside aren't that happy. Thank you, Michelle. I often say that she's, you know, here she is, a world champion, a record holder, one of the most determined people you'll find anywhere, an athletic inspiration for young women and young people across the country and around the world. And I always say to people, when I grow up, I want to be Michelle Stillwell, because she's such an inspiration. Thank you, Michelle, very, very much. And today, I get a chance to talk to you about something I never hesitate to talk about, and that is our third consecutive balanced budget with an almost $1 billion surplus. And people often, you know, will argue about what a balanced budget means and why it's important. And I always try and remind our group and people around the province that a balanced budget is not an end in itself. A balanced budget is our way of ensuring the future for our children. It is our way of saying, as clear as day, that we are only going to go out and spend money that we can afford to pay for. That we are not going to get out there and make decisions that we're essentially going to be asking our kids to pay for. Because that's what a deficit is. It's running up your credit card with no way to pay it off. And we don't stand for that. In our principles and values, we believe that the right thing to do is to leave your children better off than you are. To leave them with an inheritance rather than with a debt. And there are those who had said, when they found out we had $1 billion surplus, that we took all of it, by the way, and we put it straight onto the debt so that our children could be $1 billion better off. There were people who said that instead of doing that, we should have spent it. But what's the impact of spending that in what's been really difficult times for the country? The impact of spending it is you grow government. And so you have $1 billion surplus this year, you grow government by $1 billion. You got to pay that $1 billion next year, and the year after, and the year after that. And if you don't happen to have $1 billion surplus next year, and the year after, and the year after that, you've got to go get it. And of course, where does government get money? From you. And it's my view that British Columbians don't want government to be bigger. The British Columbians don't want their wallets to be smaller. What you want is you want the economy to be bigger. You want to see more people working at high-wage jobs that's going to make it better and easier for them to be able to support their families in the way they would like to. That's what we all want. And throughout my political career, I have talked a lot about families and why families matter. Because I really do believe that families, whatever their form, and there are all kinds of different ways that families are structured, that it is a family that is the fundamental building block of any healthy community and any healthy society. So our job as government is to recognize that families will want to do the best that they can and the best that they know how, and instill their values in their children and the people that they love so that they can be as successful in life as they'd like to be. And it's a philosophical difference, I think, between us and our friends in the opposition. Because our friends in the opposition will often take the view that it is better for government to help you figure out how you're going to run your life and your business and your family. Because in their view, government knows better about these things. Government's thought long and hard about it. Government's got all of these academic studies to point to. And goodness knows, they can do better than you can. They know the answers because they've been at it a long time. We take a fundamentally different view. We believe that it is individuals who can make a difference in our society. And that too often it's government that gets in the way of individuals being able to make that difference. And that if we can do a better job of getting out of your way, you will be able to do a better job of all the things that we hope you'll be able to achieve. That is creating a thriving private sector. It's building your business, building your career, working in your community, raising your families with values that are going to make them good citizens. If we get out of your way and respect your ability to be able to do that, goodness knows you'll be able to do that better than government can. And so when people say, and people do this, you know many of them, I'm not going to vote in the next election because those guys are all the same. If you wanted to point to one thing that made us different on one side of the legislature to the other, it would be the fact that we believe in the power of individuals. They believe in the power of government. We believe in the power of ordinary people to do extraordinary things every day if we allow it, if we enable it, if we support it, and most of all, if we get out of the way. But there are some things that government can do and should do to support people. One of them is education. We should make sure that we are investing in our secondary and our post-secondary education systems so that British Columbians have the tools that they need to be able to go out there and lead fulfilling lives. We should go out and attract jobs, support investment, create a solid business foundation so that people want to come here and grow our economy, whether that's from Alberta or Ontario, whether it's from China or India or the United States. Support a growing economy and growing jobs and help British Columbians acquire the skills that they need to be first in line for those jobs. Those are things that government can and should do, not to get in the way, not to inhibit growth, but to enable it, to enable citizens to lead the kind of fulfilling lives that they want to lead. So we're re-engineering our secondary and our post-secondary education systems, thinking about what the private sector needs to grow, what our country needs to thrive, and then looking at the way we educate young people and older people and say, and ask ourselves, are we supplying the skills in our education system that people will need to be able to go out there and get those fulfilling jobs? So that's been our Skills for Jobs blueprint. And if you go on the web, you'll see the tremendous amount of work that we've done, investing billions of dollars in trades training facilities as an example, in shifting funds to make sure that we're supporting people to be able to get grants and loans and the support that they need to be able to find seats at post-secondary institutions that are going to lead them to those high-demand jobs. And now doing the same thing for our tech industry. Because our tech industry, particularly here in the Mid-Island, is thriving. And the thing that I hear from people in that business is you need more grads who are ready to get into your field. And there's a whole range of things that we could be doing better. Co-op education, creating more engineering and math seats at universities, making sure that we are developing co-curriculum with the private sector so that people are ready when they graduate to go directly to work at a tech business, and making sure that we're always updating that curriculum because the technology industry is changing so fast. Those are some of the things that we can do. But what are some of the things that we shouldn't be doing? Because we've asked ourselves that too. What is government doing that really gets in the way? Well, you know that we've got an A from the Canadian Federation of Independent Business for cutting red tape in Canada, and we are going to wipe out the competition when it comes to getting rid of red tape over this next year. We are deeply, profoundly focused on making sure that small business people enjoy the lowest taxes possible and the lowest amount of red tape so that we can get out of your way and make it possible for you to make a buck. But in addition to that, though, what about making sure that we're helping people and supporting them as much as we can to get into the workforce? Because it's not just young people who are graduating from grade 12 or people who have been in the workforce for a while who may be looking for retraining. It's looking at all those folks, for example, single parents. 16,000 single parents in the province, men and women who are raising children without a spouse to support them. 16,000. And for decades, governments of all stripes have said, we'd like you to get off social assistance and into the workforce. And for decades, government has failed. So we asked ourselves, why are we having so much trouble getting single parents into the workforce? Because we know they'd like to work. They'd like to be able to set a different example for their children and be able to provide better for them. Well, you know why they don't? When we asked Michelle Stilwell and Stephanie Cadieux and Shirley Bond to go look at it with Don McCrae, they discovered that what we do to single parents is we say, sure, we'd like you to go get in the workforce. Go get some training. And then we say to them, oh, and by the way, you'll have to go into debt to pay for your training. And if you need a car or a bus pass to get there, you're going to have to figure that out yourself. Oh, and by the way, if you have children, because of course you do, you're a single parent, you have to figure out the childcare because you won't be home because you'll be going to training every day. And then we say to them, and that social assistance check that you depend on to supply your children with the income that you need to support them, we're cutting that off the day you start your training. Not the day you start your job, the day you start your training. So what do? They don't get off the treadmill. They stay on social assistance. And they don't get the chance to provide that fulfilling life for their children. So what did we do? We've created for the first time in Canada a single-parent employment initiative. We will pay for your childcare, we will pay for your transportation, we will pay for your training, and we will keep your government assistance going until you're done your training after the first year. And I use that example because, again, it illustrates very clearly the difference philosophically between what we stand for in our government and what some members of the opposition would stand for. Because some people would say the answer for people on social assistance is just to write a bigger check. But that doesn't help get people off the treadmill. The answer is to invest in people. It's to believe that if we give them the tools that they need, that they will find a way off that treadmill to be able to lead fulfilling lives. Because you know what happens? When those single parents who've lived on social assistance in some cases for many years, when they get off social assistance and they get into an in-demand trade and they're earning a high income, what do? They get a chance to raise their children in a home where their kids see them go out the door and go to work every single day with the dignity that comes with a job. They get a chance to see a parent who doesn't have to say at the beginning of hockey season, "I'm sorry, but I can't afford to register you this year." They get a chance to see a parent who lives an entirely different life and sets a different example, the kind that all of you set for your kids. And every parent deserves that chance. But for too long, government has stood in the way. And so now, because we've worked hard for 4 years now to get our fiscal house in order, to balance our budget, to grow our surpluses, we have the opportunity to make those kinds of investments in people and to make investments that will change people's lives for this year, but that will change their children's lives forever. So let me finish with this. And I mean, you know that Michelle has been an incredible champion for this community. She's been fighting for highway improvements. She's been fighting to make sure that the ferry service stays in Departure Bay. Thank you, Michelle. What? I think she deserves a hand for that. She's been fighting for education here and healthcare here and all of the things that you care so much about in this community. But the reason Michelle is doing this is the same reason that I am, and that's because she cares about her son and her son's future so much. And she knows that without a government today that is thinking about the future, there isn't the kind of future that we want for our kids. And so, Michelle, I want to say thank you for the work that you've done. And it's hard being a parent who's going out to this job every day because you're traveling a lot, and it's an incredibly fulfilling job. It's the best job that I've ever had a chance to do, but sometimes it's hard to be a parent. And my son Hamish is now almost 14 years old, and he plays hockey, but he's he's getting into basketball now. And I don't know if any of you have children or grandchildren who play basketball, but if you do, you will undoubtedly have heard the same request that I have, which is, "Mom, can I get a new pair of basketball shoes every 6 months?" And I don't know if you know this, but a pair of Kobe 9s are $300. $300 for a pair of basketball shoes. It makes hockey look cheap. My son says to me, of course, "Mom, I want to get a new pair of basketball shoes." And I said, "Hamish, I just got you a new pair of Kobe 9s 6 months ago. Those are supposed to last you until you grow out of them." And he says, "Well, Mom, I mean, come on, I need a new pair of shoes." I said, "Sweetheart, you don't need them. We can't afford them, and we're not getting them." And he said, "Mom, I don't like this whole we can't afford it, so we're not doing it thing. Some days I really wish you were a New Democrat." So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a delight to be back here on the Mid-Island. As I said, We all want to find our way here eventually, because you do live in one of the most beautiful, livable, friendly communities anywhere that you will find, not just in North America, but anywhere around the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Premier Clark. Before I thank you formally, and a few things I want to say about your leadership, the room that you're talking to this morning is very, very fitting because it's sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, and our small town, our small city is made up of small businesses who are very innovative, very brave, and very hardworking. And that's in the yellow pages, you can go from accountants to xylophones. I might have exaggerated a bit about the xylophones. But we have a great community, and we're very proud of everybody. And like you, we try to get out of the way of business. I'll give you a very small example. We had a concession stand in the park, in our community park, and it was run by the city and all of the things that go along with having government interference. Well, this year, for the first time, we've got food trucks, and it's being run by the Chamber of Commerce.
Nice.
We've given it
Well
up.
done, you guys. Well done.
Premier Clark, I have a present for you. I've left it at the table, and I also have another small present for you and for our fantastic MLA. She's only 5 minutes from the office, in either her home or her office, so we can see her anytime we want. And the other day we were at an event, and there was a great big cake celebrating the opening of the Historical Society's Farmers Market. And we both took the cake, took the knife and cut the cake, and I said, Michelle, it's just like a wedding. You know, maybe we're getting, not married, but, you know, very close. So
You should be so lucky.
I know. And I want to tell you that Michelle is only one of 2 people that has the keys to the city.
Wow.
This is even before she became an MLA, and we know she's a champion. So I have a very small gift for both of you. And a large gift for you. But the very small gifts, what they are is they're small hogs. And I have a personal award that I call the Hog Award, and other people in the room have heard me at different occasions. The Hog Award has to do with bacon and eggs for breakfast. The chicken makes a contribution, the hog makes a real commitment. So that's for you, and that's for you. And also, we have a fantastic volunteer fire department. They're not, they do great work, and they train very, very hard. As a matter of fact, our fire department is so competent that we had a number of our firefighters get jobs with permanent fire departments, not only in BC, but in other parts of the country. So we're very proud of them. And this is, it's something that you can wear on those cold days in the Okanagan that we never get in Parksville. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. What a great job. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.